Hello everyone and welcome to this session. Before I begin my session, kindly use the chat option. You can type your response and you can send it across, and do let me know if I'm audible to you. Once I get confirmation from you people, I'll start my session. So use the chat option, type your response, send it to me and let me know if I'm audible. Type your response and send it across to me and let me know if I'm audible to you. All right. Thank you, Richa, for letting me know that I am audible. Thank you to Sravani also for letting me know. Thank you, Maverick. Thank you, James. So now that I have got confirmation from all of you, I'll start today's session. So as you can see on the screen, today we are going to talk about the admission process, the way it happens at the IIMs. This will be the first part of this series. Do ensure you do watch the next part also. So what I'm going to do in this session is I'll basically, in a very simple manner, explain to you how exactly IIMs select students for their MBA program. So to begin with, let's understand what are the parameters that will be used for carrying out this admission process. See, the whole process begins with you people applying for CAT examination. So when you have applied for CAT, I sincerely hope, in application form, right? When you filled up your application form for CAT exam, I hope you people have put a tick mark, right? You marked a tick mark for all the IIMs which were there in CAT application form. If you do not mark every IIM in CAT application form, if you don't put a tick mark next to each of the IIMs that have been mentioned in CAT application form, then that particular IIM will not consider you for admission process. So it's absolutely compulsory to apply to the IIMs in CAT application form. So that's the reason we always say to our students that even if you are in dilemma with regard to any particular IIM, it is still advisable for you to go ahead and put a tick mark, because not putting a tick mark can have big consequences. See, nobody is going to force you to join any particular IIM if you believe that, a particular IIM is a place where you, ideally speaking, don't want to join. Then you have the freedom. Even after getting selected, you can very well say no and not accept the admission offer when you get it. You have every right to do that. But while filling up CAT application, it's advisable to apply to every single IIM. So the way the entire process will work is, broadly speaking, these are the parameters that IIMs will consider in their selection process. So first and foremost, CAT obviously will play a major role in almost all the IIMs. So doing well in CAT is very much required. Other than that, some IIMs will include your academic profile also. So when it comes to academic profile, some IIMs will give weightage to your 10th class performance. Some IIMs will give weightage to your 12th class performance. Some IIMs will give weightage to your graduation performance. Then there are some IIMs which do give small amount of weightage to those people who have done their masters, who have done their post-graduation. Some IIMs, they also give weightage to professional course that you may have pursued. Now, what exactly do we mean by professional course? Professional course could mean chartered accountancy, it could mean company secretary, it could mean those who have done their CFA, CMA, and so on. So these programs will be considered as professional courses by the IIMs. Then some IIMs will give weightage to work experience that you have acquired. Now remember, when it comes to work experience, IIMs only consider work experience that you have acquired after you finish your graduation. If you have acquired work experience before your graduation began or graduation ended, I should say, then that work ex will not be considered at all. So some people do part-time job along with your graduation, or some people after the 12th class, they pick up a full-time job. Those kind of jobs are not considered as work ex. Only full-time job that you acquired after you finish your graduation will be considered by IIMs. Then academic diversity is there in some IIMs. This is essentially given to those who are non-engineers. People who have not done their engineering, they generally get academic diversity marks by the IIMs. Then gender diversity marks are also given. These marks are given to female applicants, in some IIMs also to transgender applicants. So males will not get this weightage. Everybody else will get gender diversity weightage in some of the IIMs. Then post shortlisting period, you will have essay writing in most of the old IIMs, group discussion in one or two IIMs, and interviews in every single IIM. Now remember two things here. Number one, I'm not saying that every single parameter will be used by every single business school. Different IIMs will have different approach. For example, when it comes to shortlisting, there are quite a few IIMs which will shortlist purely on the basis of CAT also. Then there are those IIMs that will have multiple parameters in their selection process, in their shortlisting process also. So I will explain these IIMs one by one, but broadly, these are the parameters that you have to bear in mind that IIMs will consider when they carry out the selection process. Now, let's begin with the very first IIM that we have in this list. But before I do that, remember the admission process in these IIMs will broadly happen in three stages, right? The three stages that they generally keep in place. Number one would be the preliminary shortlisting stage, where there will be a minimum eligibility. In most of the IIMs, the minimum eligibility will be in terms of CAT performance. So there will be a minimum required CAT percentile. Only those people who clear this minimum required CAT percentile will be considered for the shortlisting phase for person interview. If you miss that minimum required CAT percentile, then you are out. They are not going to consider your profile at all. So first thing is you'll have to clear the minimum required CAT percentile. Those who clear the minimum required CAT percentile, they will go further ahead for the shortlisting for PI phase, wherein the process of shortlisting people, of inviting people for personal interviews will begin, and a select number of students will be invited for personal interviews. And once you are invited for personal interviews, you will undergo your interview. As I said earlier, some IIMs will also consider or will also conduct essay writing apart from interviews. Some IIMs may also have a group discussion. So different IIMs will have different approach. But once you have done with your PI, then IIMs will start the final selection process of students. Now, how will these two stages carried out? What minimum CAT percentile will each of the IIMs keep? We will discuss it one by one. As I said earlier, in this session, I'm going to primarily focus on some of the older IIMs. In the next session, we will take up the other IIMs as such. So let's start with IIM Ahmedabad. So as far as IIM Ahmedabad goes, this was the second IIM that Government of India established, and definitely it is one of the most coveted places for the CAT aspirants. So IIM Ahmedabad, they have kept a minimum required CAT percentile, and these are the numbers that they have kept in place. So you can observe on the screen, I have mentioned the required percentiles. So as far as IIM Ahmedabad goes, this year they have decided that the general category or EWS category candidates will have the same cutoff. Remember, this is not actual cutoff. This is just minimum eligibility criteria. If you cross this, there is no guarantee you will get an interview call. But yes, this is mandatory to cross this. So for general category and EWS, overall is 95. So let's say you have a fabulous profile, but you get 94.9. That means IIM Ahmedabad will not consider you for the shortlisting process, for the admission process. So 95 is absolutely the minimum percentile that general and AWS category people need to get. So earlier, just for your understanding, earlier, the number that they had decided was 80. So 80 percentile was what was needed for general category and EWS category. Hence, people from certain graduation backgrounds, they used to find it very comfortable to get calls from IIM Ahmedabad. But this year, that will not be the case because IIM Ahmedabad has increased the required CAT percentile by 15 percentile points and they have made it 95. As far as sectional cutoffs go, sectional percentiles needed are concerned in VARC, DILR, they have decided that they have kept a sectional requirement of 85 percentile. Remember, this is for general or EWS. Then we have NCOBC, required percentile will be 90 and 80, overall 90 and sectionals 80 each. SC will be 85 overall, 75 sectionals. ST will be 75 overall and 65 sectionals. When it comes to differently abled category, for general EWS, differently abled candidates, 85 and 75 would be required percentiles overall and sectionals respectively. NCOBC, differently abled people, these will be the cutoffs. SC and finally ST, differently abled candidates. So these are the minimum required CAT percentile. Now the question that some people have in their mind is, if I cross this, is it guaranteed I'm going to be called for interview? Not really. Once you clear this, your name will go into an Excel sheet of preliminary shortlisted candidates. Then for those people who clear these percentiles, the process of shortlisting will begin. Now, in the shortlisting phase, what IIM Ahmedabad has decided to do is they are going to give a weightage. They are going to keep a weightage of 35% as far as application rating score is concerned, and 65% will be the weightage that they'll give for CAT performance. As you can observe on the screen, as you might have noticed on the screen, CAT performance is 65%. And I'm sure you would agree with me, 65% is humongous weightage. It's a huge weightage. That's the reason, friends, doing well in CAT, performing well in CAT goes a long way in securing a call, a coveted call from this great institution. As far as application rating score is concerned, it will be given the remaining 35% weightage. Now, what do I mean by application rating score? How is it calculated? Let us try to understand that. So, application rating scores, as I told you earlier, these are the weightages that they have kept in place. So, SSC marks would be given out of 10 marks. So, 10 marks would be provided for your SSC performance. HSC or intermediate would have 10% or 10 marks weightage. Graduation will also be out of 10 marks. Work experience will be given weightage out of 5, and gender diversity will be 3 marks. All right. Whatever we secure over here, whatever we get over here, I'm going to tell you what they do with that afterwards. But essentially, these are the factors that will account for application rating score. That is how they are going to generate this. Now, one more thing you have to understand. Now, I have told you that application rating score and CAT score, these are the two aspects of consideration. But what you need to understand is everybody will not end up competing with everybody else. What IIM Ahmedabad does is they want diversity. So what they have done is they have classified all the applicants as per their graduation background under various groups. Let's call them graduation groups. Now, what are the graduation groups that they have decided? For example, the first set of students will be AC1 group category people. These are essentially all those who have done medicine and surgery based graduation courses. Courses like MBBS, MD, BAMS, BDS, BHMS. These are all medical related subjects. So people who have done their graduation in these streams will be considered as AC1. Similarly, AC2 accounts for all the accountants. So chartered accountants, company secretary, ICWS, CMA, these are all people who have done professional degrees. They will be clubbed together in AC2 category. Then comes AC3, where you will have all BCom, BBA, and related degrees. They will all be together as such in AC3. So keep in mind which group you fall under. Then AC4 will be all engineering, technology, architecture, all of them together in AC4. AC5 will be all your humanities and related subjects like fashion design, fashion technology, law, rural studies, education, all of them will be in AC5. Now, any degree, any discipline that I have not mentioned so far will be in AC6. So, when they calculate your graduation weightage, they will do it separately for each of these groups. So AC1, the buckets, percentage buckets will be different because getting a very high score in medicine is not easy. Whereas, let's say in engineering, getting a high score will be much easier. So there the buckets will be a little more challenging. So that is how they are going to take graduation performance into account. Now, remember, what essentially IIM Ahmedabad will do is when they are shortlisting people, you are essentially going to compete with everybody in your group, graduation group. And from each of these groups, the shortlisting will happen based on what I mentioned earlier, 65% weightage for your CAT performance, 35% weightage for your application rating, and they are going to take cream of every group out here. So from AC1, the cream will be taken, AC2, the cream will be taken, AC3 cream, and so on. Now the question is, sir, will they only shortlist these people? Not really. First, they will take top 5% or top 100 of these students from each of these groups. Then they are going to give some additional calls also on the basis of course, the reservation category, but basically mixing everybody together in one single bucket. So two set of students will get shortlisted. Major chunk of students will get shortlisted with the process of taking cream of every group. But a small number, another set of students will also be shortlisted without these groups where basically you are going to compete with everybody else in your reservation category. Then after this is done, after the shortlisting process has been done, people will be invited for AWT and personal interview. AWT essentially would be argument-based essay, and you need to analyze the given topic. We will train you for that once you get an interview call from IIM Ahmedabad. Do ensure that you start attending your preparation for GWPI rounds, and we will train you to handle AWT very comfortably along with personal interviews. But once AWT and personal interview round gets conducted, that's when the final selection will happen. Now, how will they carry out the final selection process? 50% weightage will be for your personal interview performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will agree with me, 50% is a humongous amount of weightage. That's the reason you've got to prepare well for interviews. And that's where our interview preparation sessions that we offer in T.I.M.E will come to your rescue. Take interview preparation very seriously and follow all the inputs that our team at T.I.M E has to share with you. Then AWT, essay writing will have 10% weightage. So 10 plus 50, 60% weightage is for the post shortlisting stage rounds. Then 25% weightage again for CAT and 15% weightage for application ratings will be there. So essentially your CAT, your AWT and your personal interview, that plays a decisive role. That is how IIM Ahmedabad will carry out the final selection stage. Now, this is how the admission process happens at IIM Ahmedabad. Now, let's look at the next IIM. The next IIM in the list is IIM Bangalore. Let's see how IIM Bangalore carries out the process. So again, IIM Bangalore also will have a three-stage process. In the first stage, there is a preliminary shortlist that's getting generated on the basis of your CAT performance. Now, these percentiles that you see on the screen right now, these values that you are able to see right now, these are last year's values. These are not this year's values. These are last year values, because these percentiles are decided by IIM Bangalore after the CAT exam gets over. So they have not yet decided what will be the minimum required percentiles for this year. They are going to decide it later on. But I'm sharing with you last year's numbers. So these were the minimum required percentiles last year when IIM Bangalore carried out the shortlisting process. So for general category, as you can see on the screen, 85 overall and 80 in VARC, whereas 75 each in the other two sections. So as you can observe in rest of the cases also, for generally what they basically do for NCOVC and general category people is they generally keep the required sectional cutoff in VARC a little higher than the other two sections. But for rest of the categories, it is the same in every section. So this is the preliminary required CAT percentiles. Once you clear this, then you move ahead to the shortlisting phase. So while shortlisting people for interviews, 55% weightage is given for your CAT performance. I'm sure you would agree with me, 55 is on the higher side. It's not a small amount of weightage. It's a good amount of weightage that they have kept in place. But of course, profile also plays a major role here. 10% weightage for your 10th class performance, 10% weightage for your 12th class performance, 10% weightage for your graduation performance also. And IIM Bangalore, like most of the IIMs, normalizes the performance in these exams. What do I mean by normalize? They will not directly look at your percentage of marks on the face value. They will also take into consideration how difficult was your university in awarding marks, how lenient was your board in awarding marks, and then it becomes a very fair fight. So 10th, 12th graduation will have 10% weightage each, and even work experience or professional course will have 10%. Now, why am I saying or here? See, the reason I have mentioned or out there, you need to understand is there are people who may have work experience, but who may not have who may not have done a professional course. I'm talking about, let's say, an engineer with work experience. Now, that person has work experience but doesn't have a professional course. What is professional course? As I said earlier, chartered accountancy, CS, CFA, CMA, ICWA, these are all professional courses, right? So if you have not done any of these courses, then work experience will be considered. If you don't have work experience, you have done these courses, you have finished these courses, then these courses will have weightage. But some people may have work experience, may also have these courses, then they will take whichever weightage is higher, then they will consider that. Finally, gender diversity weightage will also be there. 5% marks will be given to all the non-male applicants. So this is how the shortlisting will happen for personal interviews. Now, as you can observe, profile does play a good amount of role in IIM Bangalore, but CAT performance still is needed because 55% again is not a small weightage. Now, once you are shortlisted, you will undergo essay writing as well as personal interviews. Once you are done with your essay writing and your interview round, that's when the final selection will be carried out. Now, question is, how do they carry out the final selection process? So in the final selection process, ladies and gentlemen, again, CAT will have weightage. 25% weightage will be given for your CAT performance. And if you notice, your academics still will play a role. 5% will be the weightage to your 10th, 12th, and graduation performance. I want to reiterate again, normalization is carried out. Again, work experience or professional course that you might have done will have 10% weightage. Remaining 50% will be the weightage for your essay writing and interview performance. 10% for essay writing, but 40% for your interview will be the weightage. You might have noticed here also, personal interview has a humongous weightage. That's the reason the moment you get an interview call from any of the IIMs, immediately approach T.I.M.E office and do start your preparation for personal interviews, for group discussions, for essay writing rounds. So this is how IIM Bangalore carries out the admission process. The next IIM in the list is IIM Calcutta, right? So as far as IIM Calcutta goes, here also the minimum required CAT percentile will be there. So these were the minimum required CAT percentiles. For general category, 85 percentile overall, and 75 in quant and 80 in the other two sections. For EWS people, 75 overall and 70 percentile is needed in BARC, whereas 65 percentile will be needed in the other two sections. So you can notice based on your reservation category, you can observe what is the required percentile for you. But remember, this is not the cutoff. This is just minimum eligibility. The actual cutoffs may be much higher than this, but this is the bare minimum that you need to secure. Once you have cleared this, that's when you will undergo the shortlisting process. If you don't clear these required percentiles, then you are out. Even if you have a great profile also, they will not consider you. Now, once you have cleared these, that's when you move on to the shortlisting for PI phase. And here, ladies and gentlemen, CAT 2025 will have a humongous weightage of 56%. I should not use the word percent because it is out of 85. So 56 marks, let us say, out of 85 are kept aside for your CAT 2025 performance. And remember, how are they going to calculate it? A divided by B into 56. What is A? It's candidates CAT 2025 total overall scaled score, and B stands for maximum possible CAT 2025 total scaled score. So that is how they will give you weightage for your CAT performance. Then 10th class weightage marks will be 10 marks, weightage will be 10 marks. 12th class performance plays a major role. It will have 15 marks weightage. Gender diversity, again for girls and transgenders, will be 4%. So it will be out of 85, it will not be out of 100. Keep that in mind. Now, here, certain number of people will be shortlisted under each of the reservation categories, and these people will undergo essay writing and interviews. Now, once essay writing and interviews are done, that's when the final selection of candidates will take place. In the final selection stage, 30% weightage will be for your CAT performance again. 48% weightage will be for personal interview performance. 8% weightage will be for your essay writing performance. And for academic diversity and for master's level for non-engineering degrees, you will have 6% weightage assigned. When it comes to IIM Calcutta, they have different weightages for different graduation streams and master's streams. Keep that in mind. So unlike other IIMs which are giving the same weightage to every non-engineer, here different categories will be assigned different values. Maximum weightage is 6 marks or 6% marks. Work experience will have 8% weightage, and totally it will add up to 100. So this is the process that IIM Calcutta is going to carry out while selecting the names of students for their MBA program after your interviews are done. All right, moving on. Next, let's talk about IIM Lucknow. So as far as the IIM Lucknow is concerned, they also would have a minimum required CAT percentile. And in case of Lucknow, they have decided to keep it as 90 overall, 85 in every section for general category. For EWS and NCOBC, the same requirement would be there, 82 overall and 77 in every section. For SC, it will be 65 overall and 55 in every section. For ST applicant, 60 overall and 50 in every section. Differently abled also, the same requirement would be there. Once you have cleared this, that's when you will undergo the shortlisting for interviews. So when the shortlisting happens for the personal interviews, 60% will be the weightage assigned for your CAT performance, whereas only 10% weightage will be for your 12th performance, 10% weightage for your graduation. If you notice, there is no weightage for 10th performance. It is only 12th and graduation. Work experience, 10% weightage, and diversity, it will play an interesting role. 5% for academic diversity, 5% for gender diversity, this is how the shortlisting will happen for interviews. Now, once you're shortlisted for interview, you will undergo essay writing along with personal interview. Once essay writing and personal interview is done, that's when the final selection will happen. So in the final selection process, what they basically are doing is they are giving CAT weightage of 30%, and 12th class and graduation will have only 5% weightage each. Work experience will also be given 5% weightage, whereas gender or academic 5% will be the weightage. Now that means a girl who is non-engineer will not get double the benefit, they will only get one of the benefits. Essay writing 10% weightage and interview 40% weightage. This is how IIM Lucknow will carry out the final selection process. Now, whatever I have spoken so far, A, B, C, L, all the 4 IIMs have officially released the admission process for this year. So this is all the latest processes. But the next IIM in the list that we have, okay, before I do that, remember, IIM Lucknow, they require you to score minimum 12 out of 40 in personal interview. Remember, interview has got 40 marks weightage. Out of those 40, you definitely need to score 12 minimum out of 40. Those who do not score minimum 12 out of 40, they are out. Even if you do a brilliant job in other aspects, you will still not be given the admission offer. So interview plays a major role. So definitely the moment you get invited for interviews, definitely join GWPI training classes at time so that you will get an amazing preparation to handle interviews. Now, so far I have spoken about ABCL and I have mentioned that they have all released the admission process for this year. But as far as IIM Indore is concerned, they have not released CAT 2025 admission process. So I am going to share with you the last year process. So CAT 2024, what was the process? I'm going to share that with you. IIM Indore is expected to release the admission criteria for this year after a few days. So you need to check IIM Indore's website, or you can also check Time website. We also update it on Time website also. And you will come to know of the latest process. But as on date, at the time of recording this session or doing this session right now with you people live, we do not know what will be the process for this year. So I'm sharing last year process. So last year, this was the minimum required CAT percentile by IIM Indore. Again, I want to reiterate, this is the minimum eligibility requirement. This is not the actual percentile needed, but this is the minimum requirement. So once you clear this, in case of general and EWS, 90 overall and 80 in every section, and then for NCOBC, 80 overall, 70 in every section, SC 60 overall and 55 in every section, differently abled and ST 45 overall and 40 in every section. Once you clear this, that's when you will move ahead, and that's when you will undergo, basically undergo the process of getting shortlisted for interviews. So what happens in that process? In this process, your 10th class performance will have a humongous weightage of 39%. I'm sure you would agree with me. 39 is a big amount of weightage. Then 12th class performance will have a humongous weightage of 20. So 39 and 20, 59 is the weightage for your 10th and 12th performance. Now, as far as your CAT performance goes, last year what they have done is they have given 10 weightage for your English performance, 10 weightage for DILR performance, and 15% weightage for your quant performance, right? And then 6% weightage was given to girls and transgenders. So this is how the shortlisting for PI happens. So in case of Indore, going by last year, the 10th and 12th performance plays a major role. And IIM Indore also normalizes the performance. So it's not that blindly they will look at your percentage of marks and they'll give you marks. They will normalize based on your boards. Then you will undergo your interviews, and after interviews are done, the final selection will happen. In the final selection stage, your 10th class performance and your 12th class performance will have of only 5% weightage each, And CAT performance last year, 20% weightage was assigned for your English performance, 10% was the weightage assigned for your DILR performance, and 10% was weightage assigned for your quant performance. Then personal interviews had a humongous 45% weightage. And again, diversity factor was 5%. So personal interviews definitely plays a major role in final selection stage in IIM Indore. But I want to reiterate, this was last year's process. This year, the admission criteria has not officially been released. It is expected to be released any time soon. So we can expect the IIM Indore admission criteria for this year to be released in the next few days. Let's talk about IIM Kozhikode. So as far as IIMK is concerned, the same thing holds true here also. For CAT 2025, IIMK has not yet released the admission criteria. So I will share with you CAT 2024 criteria. So last year, the minimum required CAT percentiles were 85 overall for general category and 75 in every section. But in addition to CAT performance requirement, there is also academic requirement in IIMK. 60% minimum marks are needed in both 10th and 12th for general category people. For OBC, NC and EWS, 75 overall and 65 in every section, along with 60% in 10th and 12th. For SC, SC applicants 65 percentile overall, 55 percentile in every section in CAT, and 55% minimum marks in both 10th and 12th. ST and ST, ST and DA, 55 overall, 45 sectionals, and 55% minimum marks in 10th and 12th. This is absolutely mandatory. If you miss the percentage of marks required in SSC or HSC, 10th or 12th, you will not be considered for admission process by IIMK. Those who clear these, they will be moving ahead with a shortlisting for PI phase. And last year, what they did was they gave 50% weightage to CAT performance, 15% to 10th class performance, 20% to your 12th class performance. Then means 15 plus 20, 35% weightage to your 10th, 12th performance. So that definitely plays a major role. Gender and academic diversity were 10% and 5% respectively. Again, work experience had 5% weightage. Now you need to understand, as far as IIMK goes, CAT performance, the way they will be considered, they will look at each of the three sections and they will give equal weightage to your performance in VARC, DILR and quant while generating your CAT score, which will be accounting for 50% weightage. So you need to do well in every section of CAT. Once you are undergone the essay writing and interview round, that's when the final selection process will be carried out by IIMK. So the way the final selection stage will be carried out is your CAT performance will have a weightage of 35%. Personal interview performance will also have 35% weightage. Apart from these two factors, essay writing will be 20%. Now, if you add 35, 35, 20, it is 90%. The remaining 10% is interesting. They call it resume score. Now, the question is, sir, how is resume score calculated? It's a very interesting process that they have kept in place. So what they have done essentially is they are going to give you basically weightage based on three aspects, three parameters. So NIRF rankings will be considered for your graduation institution, the place from where you have done your graduation. And if your college, your university or your college, essentially the education institution is there in the list of top 30, then you will get a weightage, right? They are going to give a weightage for your graduation college. Then the second aspect will be for those who are chartered accountants or CMA, ICW or CS, they will also be given a weightage for, but only if you complete the entire course. If you are pursuing chartered accountancy, you don't get marks. You need to complete it. Then finally, CFA, level 1, level 2, level 3 people, depending on which level you have, if you have cleared all the three levels, you will be given a weightage of 4. So that is how the resume scores will be awarded by IMK. So this is how these IIMs, they carry out the selection process of students for their MBA programs. Now that we have understood this, now I'm going to take up your questions. This is the first part of the series. You will have another part after a few days. Do attend that also. Meanwhile, if there is any query about any of the IIMs that I've already spoken about, then you can ask me. I'm going to answer that for you. So Richa is asking me, will we be able to utilize the work experience of 6 months? Some IIMs do give weightage for 6 months work ex also, Richa, but there are also some IIMs which do not give any weightage for 6 months of work experience. But having said that, in case of those IIMs which are not giving much weightage or any weightage for less than 1 year experience, don't worry, it will still be a good talking point to have in interviews. And remember, Richa, right now when they're shortlisting people for interviews, they are going to consider your work experience till 31st of July 2025. But once you are shortlisted for interviews, they will give you another form to fill up. In that form, they will ask you to update your work experience till 31st of December. So by then you would have probably completed more amount of work ex and you will get weightage. Some IIM 6 months weightage will be there. Some IIMs it will not be there. But nevertheless, Risha, it's a very good talking point in interview. Yoganathan says, will admission criteria differ for different programs? Yes. In some IIMs, that's how it is done. In some IIMs, different programs will have different weightages, different admission process. But some IIMs, they maintain the same for all the programs. Bilal says, I took a break of 3 months for medical reasons. Will that be a problem? That's not a problem. 3 months is not a very high amount of gap, and you have a valid reason for that, Bilal. Only thing I would recommend to you, Bilal, is keep your medical certificates ready with yourself. Whenever you go for interviews to any college, always carry those documents along with you. And during interviews, if the discussion has shifted towards that gap in your career, you should always volunteer and say, I'm carrying some medical documents. If you want, you can have a look at it and you can show it to them. But most people will not ask you for the proof per se, but it's still good to have it for safety purpose. But because you have a valid reason, there is absolutely no need to worry at all. In fact, it's not just Bilal, but anybody else who is watching this session. I would like to reiterate that if you have a break, not just 3 months, if you have a 1 year break, 2 year break, it's not a big deal. As long as you do a brilliant job in CAT and follow it up with an equally brilliant job in WAT, GD, and PI rounds, I assure you, you will be able to convert your call. And if you have a valid reason for that gap, that's even better. Richa and Bilal say thank you, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, both of you. Richa says, how do we justify a gap of almost 2 years on the resume? Will it affect our selection in the IIMs? Richa, I have seen students with 3 years, 4 years of gap still get selected by the IIMs. So first and foremost thing you need to have in your mind, Richa, is nobody is going to reject you because of that gap. I mean, use common sense and think. If it was such a big deal, IIMs would have directly kept a condition that we are not going to shortlist anybody with a gap of more than a year, for example. IIMs did not do that because IIMs do realize that there are certain reasons why people may have gaps. There are students who may be doing their graduation from colleges which are not great, where campus placements don't happen, and they might have completed the graduation but not have got a job offer. It's definitely possible. Some people, as Bilal had said, for medical reasons, they end up with gaps. So if you have a valid reason, there's absolutely no need to worry, Richa. Join us for GWPI preparation, and our team of faculty members will guide you about how to go about answering questions. Of course, we believe in not giving you the entire content. We will just help you in thinking and answering questions. We believe in ethical conduct. We don't encourage people to lie. We encourage people to say the truth, but in a manner, in a dignified manner, in an acceptable manner. So our team will guide you about this, Richa. You don't have to worry about it at this moment. All right. So, Shankar, you have asked your question about 12th class marks. So, the way they calculate it is they go by normalization process. They will take your board also into consideration while giving you weightage. For example, IIM Lucknow, let's say, they will directly talk in terms of percentiles. So, where do you stand with respect to your board? That is what is going to decide the amount of marks you get. For example, just to give you a small example, 90% marks in a state board, 90% marks in CBSE, 90% marks in, let's say, ICSE, they will not be treated on par with each other. So they will take the difficulty level of the board also into consideration when they award you marks. All right, Richa says, thank you, sir. That's a relief. I'm glad you got relief, Richa, but now is the time to work hard for your CAT preparation, beta. And the moment you get your first interview call, everybody remember, immediately get in touch with time. Either you can drop us an email, you can go to our website, or you can visit the nearest time center and begin serious preparation for interviews. All right. Anything else, friends? I have run out of questions. Anything else that you wanted to ask? All right. If you don't have any more questions, then I guess we have come to the end of this session. So it was a pleasure interacting with all of you. Okay, I've got a question suddenly. Vipul says, I'm 2025 graduate. Now I'm running my own unit. Will be out of business after 2-3 months. So should I join a job and prepare for CAT 26 or join MBA in 26? See, people, if you have already begun your preparation for CAT 25 and you have already applied for CAT 25, give it your best shot. If you get into one of the premier colleges, then definitely go ahead and do MBA immediately. But don't settle for plan B colleges, kind of colleges. So if you don't make it to premier colleges, people, then I would encourage you to prepare hard for CAT 26. If you have not joined time, immediately join time for CAT 26 after CAT 25 gets over. Right now, focus on CAT 25. If you can crack CAT 25, nothing like it. But if you are unable to crack 25, then immediately join time for CAT 26 preparation. Work hard, and simultaneously, as you have already said that you're working in your business, you can continue to do that and prepare hard for CAT 26. But point is, try to aim at premier colleges. Yoganathan says, does writing CAT mock provided by CAT website, is it useful? So for those of you who are not aware, CAT official website has got an official CAT mock. Now, what will be the benefit of this? This will basically give idea to those people who are not time students, who have not written official, or I should say, mocks of time. So if you're not familiar with the user interface of CAT, for such people, that mock will be very useful because it will give them an idea about how the user interface works in CAT exam, right? But do not draw any kind of conclusions about exam pattern, difficulty level, or what kind of questions will appear in CAT, or which chapters will have more weightage, which chapters will have less weightage. All those kind of conclusions you cannot draw on the basis of the official mock that they have provided. They have clearly mentioned that the mock is only being given so that the students can get a feel of the user interface. That's it. Apart from that, don't draw any kind of conclusion at all. If you're a time student, if you have already been writing MCATs, you're already aware of the user interface. For you, that particular mock may not be of much benefit. You're already writing MCATs. But if anybody is not familiar, then for them that user interface will be shaped. All right. So Vipul says, if I get into the SP Jain, should I still consider preparation for CAT 26? See, Vipul, SPJIMR Mumbai, Time considered it's at one of the top 10 business schools of India. So if you're essentially looking for top 10 business schools of India, then SPJIMR Mumbai is a fabulous place. It will live up to your expectation. You can go ahead and you can do your MBA from there. It's one of the top 10 colleges. Yoganathan says, thank you, sir. You're welcome. Sagnik says, sir, is there any provision of center change? My center is 400 kilometers away. Should I skip CAT? No. Please don't skip CAT. Today is 13th of November. You have 17 more days. Please make travel arrangements and go to your place where whichever has been allocated, and you can write the exam. Of course, meanwhile, you can also call up CAT helpline and request them, but they may or may not oblige. So it's in your interest to make travel arrangements also. Just in case they don't agree, you should be able to go and write the exam. But I don't encourage you to skip the CAT exam. No, my friend, don't skip it. Remember, IIMs, some of the IIMs will be more than 400 kilometers away from your house. So if IIM Ahmedabad selects you, will you say, no, I don't want to travel such a long distance? You won't say that, right? So if your CAT center is 400 kilometers away, so be it. Book a train, book a bus, right? Take a flight, whatever is convenient for you. Make travel arrangements and write your exam. Don't skip it. You should also call up CAT helpline and take help from them as such. All right. All right. I have answered all your queries. So, on behalf of everybody at Time, I wish you all the very best. And I'm looking forward to meeting you again in the next part of this series. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session. All the best.